Let's interact with the management of Vivek Gupta, management of United Breweries, pardon me. Vivek Gupta, MD and CEO, joins us on the show. It's been a weak set of numbers coming in from the company this quarter compared to what the street was estimating. And Mr. Gupta, the company has reported a volume growth at 8% year on year, slightly better than estimates of 6 to 7%. First up, how much of this is sustainable going ahead? And will 8 to 9% volume growth be a fair estimate? Would that be fair to say for quarter four as well?
Yes, we are absolutely pleased with the volume growth of 8% for the quarter three, which is the OND quarter, and we even pleased the kind of the mix of the growth. Because our premium volume grew actually 33% during this quarter, and this is despite having some of the tough issues in terms of affordability of beer in a state like West Bengal, where beer prices have really gone up, or in Karnataka, where there was uncertainty around excise policy. But despite that, having an 8% volume growth, we are very pleased with the result. On your question, I think absolutely, we think that we would like to grow the category, and we want to be the category maker versus category taker. Our aspiration is that beer category should grow 7 to 8%, and we would like to grow ahead of it. So we have plans in place to increase the volume growth, but we will have to see how much the impact of pricing on beer, which is happening in a lot of states, would impact the category growth.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Gupta. This is Shrishti also joining in. But since you just spoke about the price increase, let's take this point further. Now, price increase in multiple states led to a solid 10% revenue growth in Q3. Any possibility of price increase in any other states over the next few months?
No, we are working with various states to make sure we have structural profitability on our business. We have recently got price increase in states like Odisha. We are continues to work with some of the other states like Rajasthan to see what pricing we can get. But at the same time, the big challenge is about tax rationalization, because if you know the realization on beer for the manufacturer is extremely low. In many states, beer is taxed more than spirits. So we are actively working with states to rationalize the taxes on beer so that we can actually drive the category growth, we can drive moderate consumption, and beer actually drives local employment, it helps the communities. Recently, the Beer Association of India published a study that almost, beer adds to 1 lakh crore of, value in the country's GDP. So I think it's a combination of tax rationalization, affordability for the consumers, and also the structural viability for manufacturers like us, so that we can further invest in capacities and further expand in the category to do that. So we are working with state by state with various government, and I feel that we are making progress on some of these aspects.
Point taken, Mr. Gupta. But once again, let's just focus, talk about your earnings. Share with us your view on gross margins, because they were lower than estimates. They've also declined 90 bips on a year-on-year basis. Can you help us understand what has led to the pressure on this margin front? And also, can you tell us if gross margins will rebound in quarter four?
Yeah, I think the gross margins declined because of the state mix primarily. The states where we have higher gross margins, like West Bengal or Karnataka, they had a lower growth versus some of the other states. And the second, we continuously try to bring our innovation. We launched Amstel Grande in Maharashtra and in West Bengal, which we are very pleased about. Our premium business is actually growing 34%. So as we drive more premiumization, we have to put more new bottles in the mix to really drive that. And of course, there is always a volatility around the raw material prices. So I think, we have structural plans to improve gross margins. The good part is year to date, our gross margins are still up almost 50 basis points. So I don't see this as a big distraction right now. I think we have plans to expand our gross margins and also expand our EBIT on a structural basis.
Mr. Gupta, that was exactly my next question. Now, the company continues to reiterate about its cost initiative, which could lead to margin expansion. And the company has reported margins in 7 to 12% range over the last 7 to 8 quarters. Now, how much could they expand by over the medium term, led by the structural changes you're just talking about?
as I mentioned, our first priority is to drive category growth, to be the category maker. We would like to get volume growth in the range of 7 to 8% quarter on quarter, and the revenue growth in the range of 10 to 11% quarter on quarter. So that is a priority number one. For that, whatever investment is needed, we will make those investment. Like what we did in the last quarter, we made investment in making sure that we prepare ourselves for the next season. So we invested a lot of money in repairing and maintenance of our breweries so that we can produce more beer when it comes to the season, and we will see the benefits in the coming quarters of that. But at the same time, we want to gradually improve our gross margins year on year, and you would see a 50 to 60 basis point improvement in gross margins year on year as we continue to accelerate the category growth. Because if you can improve your gross margins and your category and revenue is growing double digit, your absolute profit you make is still very meaningful. On the initiatives, we did a big productivity initiatives uh, uh, in October, November, December. As we shared, we took a one-time cost for that initiative, but we will see almost 50 crore of savings flowing into our P&L over this year. And for me, the productivity is not a one-time initiative. This is a muscle we are building as a company, and every year we will keep looking at the opportunities to save costs so that we can reinvest in the areas which actually drive category growth and which drives and expand our margins as well.
Okay, also help us understand the recent price hike that we've seen in Telangana. They've recently announced a 15% price hike, and since the company enjoys 70% market share from the Telangana beer market and generates roughly 15% revenue from that state itself, how much could revenue and margin incrementally increase led by this price increase?
Yeah, we are very thankful for Telangana government to listen to our concerns and made a first step in terms of taking a 15% price increase. As you know, despite this 15% price increase, we, are, we still have a challenge in terms of structural profitability there. But nevertheless, I think this is a big progress. We think that this price increase will help us from 80 to 100 basis point of our gross margins going forward, because since the beer has become expensive there, we plan to reinvest some of the money to ensure that the consumer gets less of a shock, and we can actually serve them better. But on your question, we'll get 80 to 100 basis point of gross margin improvement because of this decision by the government.
Lastly, Mr. Gupta, give us a number on the margin expansion of 80 to 100 bips that you're talking about. But what about the revenue growth? Can we expect a 2 to 3% jump over there?
Look, we have to see the elasticity of the volumes because of the price increase. But we expect, the revenue growth to be in the range of, in the current range only, because we have to see how much the price increase impact the consumer demand, because it's a very steep price increase for consumer. I wish, there would have been some tax rationalization so that the impact to consumer would have been lesser. But given the consumer price increase is actually more than the price increase what we got in our cost, I think we have to observe the elasticity of the demand there.
Okay, so once again coming back to the Telangana price increase, are you foreseeing any further price increase by the state going ahead?
We have, we are very grateful to the government to listen to us and made a very big progress, because as you see, this for 5 years it was pending. We are in constant conversation with the government and explaining to them that thank you for this, but the industry still need to be structurally viable. So I can't predict, but we will continue to engage with the corporation and the government so that we get some changes in near future.
All right. And lastly, now that BJP government has come in power in Delhi, how do you expect Delhi excise policy to change versus the existing policy?
For us, all the governments are similar. We actually don't look at BJP or any other part, but with a new government coming in Delhi, we have very high expectation. We think Delhi is a state which it is the capital of India. It's a huge opportunity. The premium brands are underpenetrated. Our legendary brand Kingfisher has almost 10 to 12%, 10 to 15% share in Delhi. It should be 50, 60, and we can drive category growth. So there has been a policy paralysis around excise in Delhi for some time. So I really wish, like everyone in the industry, that the new government take a very progressive step and make some change which is in line with what consumers and shoppers want in Delhi.
Okay, on that note, we'll let you go, Mr. Gupta. Thank you so much for joining us and speaking to us at ET Now about the company's quarter 3 and the outlook going ahead.